Hey, family, listen. When you do this stuff here, sometimes the technology won't let you do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. So here we are. Uh, Family, y'all know who I am. I'm Bishop John Seldis, and this is
Pamela Seldis,
and who has come alongside me tonight. We're gonna have some community conversations. We got some of our family, our community family, community family. I don't know, but folk I have known for a very long time. Folk who have been related to us. I claim relations. Some of your family, you'd be like, maybe not. But these who have joined us tonight are our family here in Hartford, and we wanted to have some conversation tonight. Just for those of you who haven't been paying attention to the news, we'll do a little bit of reflecting out. But we are some of us have some feelings and feel some type of way, have some things we need to say and want to share. And so let me invite the family to this platform. Pastor J. Stan McCarley, Sister Kamara Harrington, Sister Evie Correa. I don't know your last name, Evie. The other last name, I don't know that one no more. But I know those.
Correa Brown.
Correa Brown, because there was another name there for a while there. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, here we are. Here we are, family. Yes.
We got married.
Yeah.
I'm late, I know, but
so congrats and all of that. Why don't we just have each of you just say a word in as of introduction? Come on, why don't you go first?
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump in where you started about this family thing, right? And thank you, because this week has been a rough week, right? And so folks who are checking out social media, when people are saying that, hey, Kamora, what's going on? I'm like, okay, so watch my live, read what Bishop Seldis wrote, read what Stan wrote, and somewhere in the middle of there, you're going to get there, right? But I love y'all. And I'm going to start off with, I love us and I love Hartford. And the four of you have been so instrumental in so much of me, but in our city, right? And in holding us. So I'm really happy that this conversation is happening this evening. And I'm happy that you started off with family, because in Hartford, there's a whole lot of stuff that can happen that can help us forget that we are connected, that we need each other, and that we're family, and that, the tragedies happen. The way that we show up is how we're going to show up. But we all need each other and we feed off of each other. So this has been a broken week. Like we are who we are. I've got pastor, I got bishop, and if folks paid attention last night, I was the one at city council meeting saying, hey, this is our Garden of Gethsemane moment, and let's talk about it. Because I know that for us as a collective, it's time for us to do that. It's time for us to really look at ourselves and, why am I here? What is the purpose right now? What are we supposed to do? So I'm very happy this conversation is happening, and I'm very happy that it's happening with the folks who are here. Like this is the breath of, hey, folks, I'm very happy it's the five of us.
Amen. Thank you, Kamara. Sister Evie, why don't you go next?
I'm glad to be here with y'all. This is introductions, right? I guess I just be out there doing stuff. So I'm Evelise, and yeah, I'm always doing something. So I'm here right now. Later on I'll be taking care of the kids, and tomorrow afternoon I think I'm supposed to be doing rally planning. So, and I just gave legislative testimony today, so you'll always find me doing something. One day I'll sleep, I just don't know when that is.
All right, thank you, sis. And Pastor Stan.
Well, I consider all of you.
Give your introduction and greeting.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Those people out there watching, but to you all that are here, I consider all of you family. When Brother John called me, I said, "Well, who's going to be on?" And I says, "Absolutely." I said, "So I'm honored to be in the company of y'all because you all are the real deal. A lot of folk in Hartford ain't the real deal. You know, sometimes you have to peel
Are we
back.
ready for that part already?
Peel back. No, I'm right. I'm ready." But I'm just simply suggesting that you all are the real deal. What you present all the time is what you see. And if you ask me, you can't ask for any more than that. It's just for people to be genuine. Just be genuine and be genuine all the time with who you are. And that's why I consider you all family, because family is always real with one another and they don't change up in this other room and they're the same all the time. And so you know who they are. And so to you all, good to be here.
All right. Well, let's hey Kamar, let's just jump on in here. Listen. So if you've been on Mars, Pamela. I introduced you. I'm sorry.
You introduced me
but
already.
you got you got some introductory statement you want to make.
No,
I'm sorry.
happy to be here too. I'm sorry that we're having to be here under these circumstances, but I am happy to be with my family, and each one of you, just like Pastor Stan said, you're real. We met Stan being real over there at the Access TV. I was like, who's that brother? Oh, yes. So I'm happy. I'm happy to be here in the number. So, let's talk about what's happening and where we at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sweetie. I missed that. If I had I'm trying to go on and you said, well, hold on. Keep me. That's why you have you get married and have partnership stuff. They keep you on track. So I appreciate that and appreciate you for getting me together. Listen, let's talk about if you've been on Mars, then you may have missed this, but in the last almost a month, this is the 10th, 11th, right, of the month of March. February 19th, right? Was when Brother Walker was shot and killed. All right, which led to 10 days or more of police involved shootings. These calls were made because there was someone in crisis, mental health crisis, and these men end up dead by the hands of Hartford police. And let me just say from the onset, I have said it in the statement that I have posted up. So if you follow me, you'll read it, and several of you have reposted it, and I appreciate that. Listen, something wrong with that picture, and I think it ought to be said. Something's wrong with that, and a number of us have that opinion and have begun to do so. Kamara, you and Sister Evelise and some others went out there on Capitol Avenue. I guess the next day y'all were out, saying something wrong with this picture, right? And of course, when we do that kind of stuff, we've been doing it for a long time. It'd be the same faithful few that come alongside, and then there's some other folk that may drive in from wherever they drive into and to join us and support us. But here we were, once again, and I heard you, Kamar, that first rally. Listen, I've been doing this a long time. It's been the same kind of show up in the aftermath of something that shouldn't have happened, right? So here we are, and in this moment, just a few days later, it happens again. And, so I'm going to pause and have one of you all pick up the story from there. Go ahead, Sister Evie.
So, there's a big difference between both of those shootings, and I think it's that Brother Walker did not have the advantage of a live stream.
Mhm.
The only evidence that's been released so far has been by the perspective of police, and there was carefully crafted and edited body cam footage, which showed the most chaotic part of the interaction when they bum rushed the house. Meanwhile, Mr. Jones, Stevie Jones, had the advantage of having 3 live streams on him. So when police finally, provided their narrative, um, they had to provide more of a story because there were more eyes on them. So police are doing their thing right now, and it's very unfortunate because the police union is so emboldened that they're even asking for more money. And mental health services, I believe in January, there was a article from the Connecticut Public Radio, and in the article that's written, it says that mental health services have ran out of money. So,
In the department.
Within the department.
yes.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. That is absolutely important to an important distinction made. Pastor Stan and Sister Kamara, you want to dovetail the back end of this story?
The fact that they ran out of money means nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, they can use whatever they want to justify what we saw. It's sort of like, are we going to believe them or our lying eyes? If he was hanging from one of the light poles, then we could see that he was hanging by the neck, and it would be more graphic. But him being shot 9 times is just as deadly. And there's questions as to how alive was he when he got to the hospital. So there's a lot of things that are going on right now. And the city is trying to do its very best to get us to believe what we saw isn't what happened. The problem they have is that there are 3 officers in the picture who are actually doing what they were trained to do.
Mhm.
So the officer that rolled up and in 30 seconds, 25 seconds, 20 seconds, decided to discharge his firearm 9 times without figuring out what was going on, did so not because there's no training, but because he was reckless, irresponsible, unprofessional, and he should be out of a job, never to work again, just like a captain of a 747 would be out of a job if he failed a check ride. See, the standards are different. Had Stevie been in the Institute of Living and picked up a knife in the cafeteria and stabbed one of the cafeteria workers, they would not have shot him to death.
That's right.
They would have subdued him. So, the way they treat people is wrong, but most certainly the way they treat somebody who's in the middle of a mental crisis, it's totally unnecessary. He was not a threat because he didn't act in a threatening manner that justified lethal force with the other officers that were there. They're just as trained as the one that got out of the car. I would say that they were more trained. So, the best thing they could do is mea culpa, come clean, terminate him. If it was up to me, he'd be out of a job, the police chief would be out of a job, and the mayor should hand in his resignation instead of clowning around, pretending to be mayor as he governs by improvisation. That's just one man's opinion. That's where I am.
All right.
I'll happen after Kimura.
I agree with that opinion. And as a Hartford resident, like you said, you heard me say, I've done this many times, right? So if I represent anything, let me represent a traumatized child of Hartford. You know, let me be the 54-year-old woman. You know, someone earlier today asked me how I was, and I was like, oh, I'm playing a CD that I had back when I was 17. You know, that's cute and that's fun, but you know, trauma, right? We're all hurt. We're all affected by this. When a 54-year-old woman is finding comfort in the music that she listened to when she was 17, because that's what she needs to hold her, that says a lot. And I want to take that out of me and take it to our community, right? Because we're not safe in this community. We don't feel safe. I would, thinking about what our mayor hasn't done. I would appreciate even the illusion of safety if he would jump up and say a thing, right? But he's being very cautious, saying all the things that he knows. I'm not going to try to put thoughts on his actions because I've got a lot going on there. But one of the reasons earlier today, I had a volunteer training, and the conversation around don't call 211 sounded different today, because I know what I sound like often. And I go out and I tell people, don't call 211. Don't you dare. No, don't you dare. And if you're a solid citizen who understands that there are safety nets and you understand that people care, then you understand that 211 is this wonderful thing and Cumorah is just negative and horrible. But what we've learned is if you call 211 to care for your family, then the police are going to come and they're going to shoot you, right? So this conversation about community care has been a conversation that I've been having for a long time with the people who I work with in the checks and balances. The people who are supposed to be there aren't. So you can't use the phone calls, never call 911, don't call 211, but who do we lean on, right? So who are those people there? And this is where right now I am so scared and so lost. I can laugh at people and I can laugh at people's roles, but I respect people's roles, right? And I respect when people use their roles well. And because we've got Bishop and First Lady and Stan, I really want you guys, Stan, I told you I need help wading through this one, and I need help wading through the video that was the mayor's statement that came out of the mouths of all of the pulpits. And this is where because I'm lost, and this is scary to me. I believe in the separation of church and state. I believe in checks and balances. I understand that if we all play our role and do what we're supposed to do, then things happen. And again, I might roll my eyes at what comes out of the pulpit, but I expect the God people to do their job and represent, whatever their faith is, whatever it is that their denomination is, to do that, to get that into that sermon. And I love it when people share their faith, And what happened in our city, so the mayor has just had a major win because he's learned that if he calls certain individuals in the community, then they will back down, and whatever their real stance is will go away because the mayor told them that stance needs to go away. So I questioned them and their integrity. But again, on Sunday morning from the pulpit, the state, to put it in that context, right? The state sent out a statement to quell the masses, and our clergy received that and read it verbatim and left it like that. And everyone's very proud. And the place where I'm feeling very, very unsafe right now in this one is we don't have leaders. We have nonprofit employees who understand where the grants come from, right? So those nonprofit employees are not going to say the things that will endanger their jobs. Clergy, for some reason, thinks that they're supposed to, when the mayor sends them an edict, they think it's their job to read what the mayor said verbatim and call it a day. And that's, I've got a lot to say. I've got a lot to talk about, but that is my big, oh my goodness, this is my big looming fear. I don't know what to do with this. When the pastors talk a lot, right? And when the pastors choose to share someone's words instead of the words that they think will invigorate and carry their people, we're in an upside down world that I don't understand. Evie?
So, yes, co-sign everything you just said. And then the first message that we got from the mayor, because he tried to Aaron Stewart his way out of this, was that he's going to be doing a town hall with the police chief. And, we've drudged up this police chief because apparently it was difficult to find someone.
The mayor is calling a town hall with the police chief.
He canceled it, actually. because the community was actually going to come out.
Because I
And
thought,
it was the day that Stephen Jones died. He canceled it. And instead, you could find him at Parkville Market shooting a commercial promoting watch parties for soccer games because the World Cup is coming. So he canceled that, went to Parkville Market, filmed for a watch party because you know, not only was that 17-year-old shot in downtown that came from West Hartford, so West Hartford's mad at us. You've got people getting shot in the streets, and you've got the police shooting at residents. So you know, all of that's being ignored right now, all of it. And we're supposed to just get together and watch soccer. So
Yeah,
so
we're in a
And
track.
remember though, he's standing by his police chief, which is why he's doing that. He was going to do that community meeting with him before Stephen Jones died.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted, Stan.
No. I was gonna respond to what you're saying. I'm almost apoplectic with response because you know this is the kind of stuff that jams up your brain. You know, separation of church and state really is designed to keep the church out of the state,
Right.
so that the quote unquote God power through the God people doesn't, you know, inject divine punishment on the state for failing to, you know, acquiesce to the will of the quote unquote God people. And so that's what it's designed to do. But quite the opposite has happened. Here we have the state dictating to the quote unquote church and God people what to say, where now the state becomes divine in telling us what we can't do. You can run, stop running. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Be concerned about this, don't be concerned about this. And so it's a very, very, very dangerous precedent. And the people, as Sister Kimora said, the people are in a place now, quote unquote, leaders, where they check in with the leaders of the government, that they're the government. These people work for us, and they're checking in with the employee down in the mailroom as to what executive policy should be. It's flipped. It's almost like you must be dreaming to see this stuff happening. And you know, it's you know, it's a dangerous state of being, because it manifests a plantation mentality where, well, I don't know if they hung Bobby because he was doing something wrong. I know we saw Master drag him out the house, but maybe Bobby was just, you know, maybe he needed to be hung. I mean, that's the kind of place that we're at now. It's very sophisticated. You know, it's 2026 version of lynching. And so we have the supposed elected representative of the people standing with the corrupt forces of oppression, holding the people down, and it's okay with the leaders, which says an awful lot about quote unquote people who are in supposedly leaders. So are they leaders, or are they, you know, overseers?
Well, did you see Fox 61 and what they had to say about the city council meeting last night?
I did not.
Arunan was supposed to be there. They weren't able to pass certain ordinances or legislate whatever it is that you pass for the city. They weren't able to pass that because he was supposed to be there and did not appear. Obviously, the public was there, so that was the second time he canceled an appearance that I'm aware of.
But he's happily calling people quietly under the cover of darkness, getting them to do what he wants.
Yes.
Pamela, you got something
well,
to
this
say?
is, I mean, so this is the same thing another day, you know, so this is happened before, and it continues to happen. And everything is shifting, changing, falling away, falling apart. Structures, systems, institutions, they're all kind of going away. We had a yesterday and we are now in a today. The today actions have to be different than the yesterday action. Who's going to be doing the different actions? From my perspective, is all of us. We all have to do something different. We all have to pull up the leadership that is in us in the way that we lead our lives every day. We can't depend on a group of people and a group of people in community or a group of people in a role. It has to be us who decides how we go forward, because if we are going to continue on the way we used to do it, it's still not going to get done. So I'm at the point of wanting to create something new, wanting to envision something new, wanting to move into day with the expectation that we create what it is, and we don't have to look to other people to do it. And I know we have the systems in place. They're still in place. I don't know how long they're going to be in place, but they're in place now. And since they're in place, we do have a right to speak to them. We have a right to speak to them. So I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm also saying that we need to be doing something more or different than we've done it before if we want a different outcome.
There needs to be a different honesty that we're willing to share, though, because there's an honesty. If we can't be honest about what's happening, then we can't work in it. So that don't call 211. For the last 5 years, I've worked with lots of people who've had to get their needs met. Not one of those people has ever got their needs met through 211.
Wow.
Many of them, with the way folks come and with the way things work, I've sat there with people because, like, well, my sister told me to call 211, or someone will come into Sterling Street with their person who's there to help them. It's like, well, we're going to call 211. It's like, or we called 211, and like, okay, that's a waste of time. We've got housing. Like let's get. Well, we called 211. They said to call back. It's not. And it's inevitable. That's Evie's been there with me a million times, right? You wait for the bubble to happen because the person, whoever it is, they've heard that 211 is the thing. And you've got to wait for them to go through calling 211 and waiting the 2 weeks and then waiting the 1 week and then filling out the form and then going and finding the other form. And then after 3 months, when nothing happens, then that person realizes 211 doesn't work. What kind of community care am I going to pull in? What is that going to look like? But we need to say, I know wonderful people who work for 211. I know people who put it together, and there are great, wonderful people who had wonderful ideas, but it doesn't work. And so therefore that's got to go away.
211 wasn't designed to do everything that it's doing right now. And I feel like the nonprofit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a United Way. Am I wrong on that? They got addicted to the money and they just kept taking things on, more functions. And here we are with a very non-functional 211 when it used to be worth a damn when I was in high school.
I can say, like, on social media, there was someone said, oh, well, what will you do when someone comes charging at you with a knife? And all I could do is laugh. It's like, do you know how many times that has happened? And do you know how many times people who I care for have called me because someone who they love has a knife? And how do we do this? And we have this wonderful, strange group of human beings who have different skill sets, who can show up in different ways for each other. Over the last year, just pulling in all the breakdowns of system, we've got women who are mothers who love their children, who our community comes together and makes sure that the things that need to happen in their homes happen so the state doesn't take their kids. right? Because DCF used to have voluntary services, and families in need used to have a number to care, and those people would come help. That doesn't exist anymore. Most people don't know that. A family going through a crisis, and I've dealt with this, and this is so sad. A family going through crisis that calls the DCF hotline because they think that they will get care, 2 days later is in my living room crying because their children are taken away.
Mhm.
But we all believe that there's a safety net. So there are still people out there who are telling moms who are having a hard time, call the DCF hotline. They will help you. And I think when it comes to that place of being honest, when I say that we've got all these nonprofit employees, the people who are the people who should be helping, who work for the agencies that don't help, are our friends. And so when we want to talk about how bad housing is, we don't, because we're talking about people who we like. And the agencies that are the nonprofits that are poorly funded and all the other stuff, but the agencies that are supposed to do it are run by people who we like. So for a part of this conversation that we're going to have tonight, as we talk about how Hartford's breaking down, we're going to skate very carefully around names because we don't want to say mean things about people who we like. And the truth is, the nonprofits, the way the whole system is set up, the nonprofits that they run and work for cannot do what they're supposed to do.
And I hear you, Kamara, and I would agree
I'll be right
to
back.
everything that you said. I heard you, Evie. We heard you. One of the things that Lady Pamela we've been talking a great deal about are the ways in which each of us in our own way have centered around how to meet what's happening within the context of community, right? We each taken on some of these pieces to fill in the gaps, right? Because the systems are not working.
And they're getting worse.
Right? And they're not working in the way that they should. I am also, the question I ask, and I think in relationship to what's happening in this current situation, is Demas used to have a rapid response team that you could call a phone number, and within minutes in the city of Hartford, they would descend and in fact work with the persons you had worked with. I used to work and run one of these not-for-profits, and I was able to, when I had one of our folk in a mental health crisis, I was able to call and that rapid response team, and I said to them, listen, can you get here quickly? Because the fire department is here, HPD, I hear them coming, and I don't want something bad to go down. They got here right as HPD came in, and they were able to take the lead and get the help that person needed. Now, that happened years ago. And you all know we were promised that there would be embedded rapid response teams in the police department. In fact, they argued when we were talking defund the police. In part, defund the police was to say, take resources that police are getting and forward that to folk who can actually help in mental health crises. So I remember April 2000, we got called to Manchester because Juan Soto, after the mental health folk had come to do a thing, then in fact, Juan Soto loses his life because the police, as Marvin Gaye wrote in Inner City Blues, trigger happy polices, right? That something happened and he got killed. So I'm with you, Kamara. I'm saying all that to say I think there has been a system-wide breakdown, and I understand what you just said. We got to first acknowledge this stuff ain't working. Well, I think, in fact, that's the truth telling that our mayor and other officials that were, elected to represent us in this form of governance, to say it shouldn't be that you show up to respond to a mental health crisis or concern, and death incurs by the very people, at the hands of the very people that were called to, in fact, offer service of some sort, right? I'm not even talking about protect and serve, because that don't, that's another that's another lie, right? That just doesn't happen by people, Pamela, I'm taking your words, but by people who I think ought to be under evaluation for mental health concerns. If you can't show up and be an adult and not somehow take Stevie, who you know is having some problems, he ain't quite right, and that you got to take your gun out and empty the clip almost. And if we say there's something wrong with that somehow it's something wrong with us, no, it's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And can we just think about a system and the people who uphold a system? Like, if we really value human life, right? And all human life, right? People behind the badge and for the whole thing. I'm the asking for these people to be fired, asking for them to lose their job baffles me, because I really want to know who believes that, like, if I ever had to take a human life, I'm ruined. And the job, the job of a police officer is such a high stress, ridiculous job anyway. If I really am a blue line person and I love the police and I value the police, then I should understand that after that wonderful human being has been put in such a horrible situation where he has to take a life off of this earth, that we need to care for that person and take them out of their job, right? So like, if we're really looking at it that way, if humanity is a part of it, then we should understand that person can't do the job anymore, right? Because of humanity. But instead, we're in some weird place where we're like fighting for a human being who has gone through the most disgusting thing that any human being on this earth would ever, do we value life?
Right.
I understand that there are times when a human being might have to take another human life. But if we don't honor that and see that as a workplace issue and something that the union should get into so that a person can't lose their job, there is no moral foundation. This is where my soul is. It keeps coming back to the morality of this and the lack of morality all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to acknowledge the fact that not everyone is moral and that evil is real. Some people just
I know this hurts.
Right. It does hurt. However, there is a reason in theory. We know the history of the police and the slave patrols and all that. But there is a need sometimes for security and protection. But there's a difference between that. It would be nice if buildings didn't burn down, but they do. So we have a department that goes out and fights fires so the whole city doesn't burn down. We have all kinds of different arenas. When somebody gets hurt, car accident, whatever the case is, we have medical professionals go out. I remember when EMTs were thought to be, they can't possibly possess the knowledge that a doctor knows. Why would you put somebody with, send them out on the street to give, emergency medical care? Well, now it's commonplace. We should have people who are dispatched specifically to deal with people who have mental issues. The police ought not be the ones that go out. They're not trained to neutralize mentally distressed individuals. There's a level of training, a modicum of training, a certain degree of training. We know it works because we saw 3 people making it work. We saw 3 people charged with public safety, police officers, who were doing exactly what was necessary in the training to de-escalate. They evoked the community. The community was working in conjunction. Everybody knew Stevie. They knew what kind of individual he was. And then we have somebody who comes along. He may be traumatized now. Chances are he was traumatized when he got out the vehicle. If he felt threatened for his life, he could have run. He could have got back in the car. He could have put some distance between him instead of causing the guy to come close to him, where he would now have reasonable justification for use of lethal force. He knew exactly what he was doing. It seemed to be premeditated to me. The people who are the thin blue line people, they want to defend police officers' actions at any cost, and they do so at the risk of destroying the whole department and those within the department that are doing a good job. In my opinion, he was reckless, and he needs to be treated as a reckless individual. And I understand, giving him room for recovering and that he may be under stress. When you fly a 747 and you could potentially take 300 to 400 people into the side of a mountain because you're distressed, when they do an FAA check ride on you and you fail that check ride, you're done. You're done, because we can't take the chance that you might be okay when you're flying across the ocean or anywhere else with 400 souls on board. If you're a captain and you abandon your ship while there's passengers on board, you're done. If you're a police officer and you take a human life without real justification, you're done. It doesn't mean you got to be executed, but you're not going to work here anymore. And in my opinion, you shouldn't work anywhere else when it comes to securing the life of individuals. Human life is not at the top. We don't value human life. And the training is such that we don't value human life. There are a multiple number of ways to subdue an individual. If you're working protective services for the president of the United States and someone tries to shoot him, you don't kill the person that's trying to shoot the president, because you need to talk to him. But that takes training. And so we have people who really shouldn't be in the police department. They're trained by people who are there looking out for their long-term best interests. And I get that. The union should do their very best to put him in a position where he's protected. I expect that's the union. All right. But I don't expect my elected leader to represent them over the constituents that voted to put him into office, or any other elected official. So for me, I have zero tolerance for elected officials who are in my employ. Who want to act like they're going to tell me how I'm supposed to behave and act, because the mayor works for me. The police chief works for him. If he doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to get rid of the criminal police chief who's responsible for half of the police chiefs in this state.
Yes, sir.
Okay? If he won't dismiss him, then the mayor needs to dismiss him. And if the mayor won't dismiss him, I'll spare no expense to get rid of him and make sure he's not reelected. That's where I am. And until the community begins to hold their elected officials accountable, then he'll continue to do what he wants. He is our employee. He's not a king, and he's not a sovereign. He is representing me and my government. We're the government, not him, not the party. We're the government. The parties have people who they install and put in place, but all government is local. So if we can't control our local government, where we have coffee with these people, we know these people, some of these people are our friends. I got plenty of friends that are politicians. But when I come to them as at doing their job, that's we're not friends now. you work for me. I wish I would have an employee tell me what they can and can't do. What the hell? I don't need you. If I have to do your job, when I ran the TV station, I was like that. Don't let me answer the phone. If the phone rolls over to the voicemail, I got a problem. If I have to answer the phone, it's not your fault to work here. It's my fault. I'm the one with the problem because I won't hold you accountable to the work you have. So, no. Constituents must demand better. He has a meeting that he doesn't show up for. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you didn't come to work. You didn't come to work. Let me work for the mayor and not show up or do something he doesn't like. Let me not schedule a meeting, or let me schedule a community event on a day that one of my staff wants to have a wedding and they're out of a job.
I love it when we speak about real things, because a whole bunch of us know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. I won't name names out of respect for the people who are here on the family. But I'm that close, Mr. Mayor. Do you really meeting me? Because you've never met me. I've been paying for the last 20 years. All right. These people here are my family. I'm one of them. Don't mistake the calm that you think you know. I'm just as radical as the rest of them, and you're about to meet me. Get it together. Get rid of that police chief, or I'm coming for you. Know
I
that.
think we forget the police chief's history as well and what happened under him
But
last
we don't
time.
forget. We don't forget.
No.
Why was he brought back? Like, you had police officers who were mailing bullets to threaten people, catching misdemeanor convictions because they mailed a bullet to somebody they thought was sleeping with their wife, who missed dead bodies because they were busy on Facebook. Like, the amount of immunity that police had under Ravella last time was ridiculous, and now he's back.
Yeah.
And they go ahead.
Got him back. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because he wanted to talk to me. I will tell it. I'll tell this. He wanted to talk to me, have coffee with me in private. I said, I'll meet you, but you're going to have to come to Parker Memorial. You're going to have to come to Faith Congregational Church. Or you're going to have to meet me at a mutual site, but in public. No more private back rooms. Let's have no. There are questions to be asked. There are accountability points. And aren't you responsible for even what you just named? Some of that stuff is known. This ain't backdoor stuff. Some of this stuff is known. And to finally have him, quote, retire. I was sideways when he then was selected as the commissioner, the state commissioner of public safety. So what Pastor Stan just said, his ability to wade into dozens of other chief of police to be hired in towns across the state, for him then to retire again and be brought back here on an interim basis after you had selected somebody after a national search. You selected somebody and somebody didn't do due diligence. Oops, my bad. Oops. And then you bring them back on an interim basis. And then somebody says, well, and I saw this and I just didn't say nothing, but I'm saying it now. And you can say I said it. You then said, oh, I had a vision from God. We have our police chief. And we're going to run a retread again? Are you crazy? Can I say there's some incompetence here that's got to come forward? And I'm one to ask the question, do you have what it takes to be mayor? It don't seem like it to me.
No.
And I'm asking that question based on what I'm seeing. Firing folk, hiring folk, and oops, didn't do the right thing. These are all rookie mistakes. And the stakes are too high here in the capital city of the state of Connecticut.
I don't
gotta keep
understand.
looking at these mistakes, though. I'm not sure they're mistakes. I mean, so we know that, so Melinda Johnson has been let go. Her job has been removed. So her job has been absorbed somewhere else. Yeah. So Melinda Johnson no longer has that job, and there isn't that community engagement person. So you tell me, unless you are operating in chaos theory, who fires their head of community engagement in the middle of a firestorm? So she was just let go on Thursday. So we have these murders happening. Constituents, residents need community engagement. As people are figuring out who they're going to reach to, that Office of Violence Prevention is a waste. They don't show up. They're nowhere. They were at the very end of the first press conference, but they weren't there tonight. Are these decisions the decisions of an incompetent person, or are they the decisions of an insidious person here to destroy my community? I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but it is one of those things.
Yeah, I hear you,
Well-
Kamara. I wanna say, the question is not only valid, it has to be asked at this point. What I guess I am trying to be respectful of is that when you seek office, right, that you come understanding what the job really is, right? And what you said earlier, I think is true. Even fake it, fake like you care about the community.
Right.
I mean, offer some, you know, we all are given to authority, right? And stuff happens, right? And when stuff happens and you the leader, you got to say, listen, that should not have happened, right? And let me get down to the bottom of it. I'm gonna get back to you. But we were just at a thing, and it used to be a time when you would say you went to buy something another at say a fast food restaurant, as an example, and they end up having you wait. You know, fast food end up being you could have sat down and had a whole meal because you're sitting in the car and 18 other people done come behind you and around you. It probably has never happened to you. It just happens to me on a fairly regular basis in some of these establishments. But then it used to be they'd say, we so sorry that you had for your inconvenience. Here is $5 on your next meal. Or here's an extra hamburger and fries, you know, just for your time, right? See me and we'll get you a free slushy or ice cream cone or something. That used to be now they just say, my bad. My bad. And then when you look in the bag, they still didn't give you the stuff you asked for or ordered. Anyway, I know that's me and I'm sour grapes. I'm sour grapes. I know.
No, that happened to
Sour
me at
grapes.
Dunkin' the other day. So at Dunkin', I
But I'm
showed up.
thinking-
I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kumar."
I was gonna say, but it's trickled down, right? Like when our kids are rude to us, what do we expect? If it like coming back to that feeling of safety, that sense of safety. If my mayor cannot acknowledge a murder, why should we expect our children to value life? Like for real, like, yes, you should get that free ice cream cone if you're inconvenienced. You should. And that comes from learning grace, right? And no one teaches you how to be graceful. You learn it because you experience grace. And we live in a community where the people who are hired to run parks and to run everything have been taught to offer us no grace, right? Like it really is top down. And I'm going to keep going back. We have no leadership. We've got the mayor who's making it clear, oh no, I just stomp all over you. And again, I'm going to pull up. His wife is the pastor of First Church. I would wish that there were some wonderful, deep theological conversations happening in their home that the rest of us don't see because it's between a husband and a wife. But I would love to see that show up in the way that he lives, right? Like you all know, I talk about, may the work I've done speak for me forever. I really, looking at his behavior right now, if he was married to an insurance executive, I'd roll my eyes and go, okay. He's married to the pastor of Center Church.
Do they still have that standing trespass order?
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, how are we going to have grace? How are we going to live in a community where we care for each other? How are we going to live in a community where we understand and practice critical thinking around each other when that church has that standing order, folks who know what a standing order is, it basically means the police have talked to you and said, hey, don't worry. If we see anyone outside of your building who you don't like, you don't have to call us. We'll come and arrest them. Right. And so they've got that on that church, which means the church that has the shelter, if the cops are driving by and they see a thing that they don't like, they've got carte blanche to do whatever they want to those folks. And that's the mayor's wife's church.
And the youth shelter doesn't open till late, does it? Because I believe
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a youth
Leslie.
shelter in there.
There's a youth shelter, but it's kind of like Oh, here we go. Let me be more. You know how when we talk about Rosa Parks, there's the white folks in the front of the bus and the black folks in the middle, back of the bus, but in the middle there's those contested seats that everyone doesn't always talk about because it gets kind of murky there. But Rosa Parks sat in a contested seat, and that's where the whole everything came from. Well, with the youth shelter, it's a youth shelter, but youth is like there's that weird middle. I want to say 18 to 24, and if I'm wrong, someone please correct me here. But with the way it worked with funding was young people were first priority. And then if it got to be a certain time, then if there weren't that many young people, then they opened it up to older people. And again, when it comes down to critical thinking, if you know what our houseless folks have looked like this winter, if you know how many people there are, that was asking for fights. That was asking for people who are 25 or older to, at about 11 o'clock, start picking fights with people who are 24 and younger for beds, right? It was set up, and this is where I go, like, is it incompetence? Is it idiocy? Or is it just a setup? Because the lack of understanding around that really had me questioning priorities and intellect.
I don't know. I think it is incompetence because, there's, what the president's doing is on purpose. What's happening here in Hartford is incompetence. There's a difference. I can respect the purpose because at least you got a plan. Some people can execute plans real well. Others it's improvisation. It's reactionary plantation governance. And don't call me in the morning. I heard you were upset. Fix it. It's really that simple. Fix it. Ask people who know what they're doing for some help. There's plenty of them in the Hartford. There are plenty of them in the city. Some of them are people who try to give you advice in your own party. Listen to some of these people telling you what to do and how to do it. There's no shame in not knowing how to do something, but there's tremendous shame when you won't ask for help. And that speaks to a whole nother thing. The honeymoon has been over. The probation is over. And now it's time to deliver. Not for corporate downtown, not for the Hartford Business Journal.
Yeah.
Not for Torrington.
We can bond
but for
again.
The constituents that put you in office. The money from Torrington, you think they didn't get you elected, they want to help pay for it. But the constituents came out and voted. Because the 1st, the 4th, and the 7th will not get you reelected. You need to understand that. People are beyond upset and tired. And if you're not hearing that, the people in your circle are doing you a grave disservice. Grave disservice.
And the community is feeling disrespected. I'm going to say there's like, when we look at who the supposed leaders are in the community feels disrespected. The community that showed up last night was disrespected. The community that talks to me, that talks to folks, is feeling disrespected and ignored. Everything that we're seeing from this mayor, they are seeing and feeling as well. But the leaders, for some reason, think that their job is to do what the mayor is telling him, and that disconnect is scary.
Yeah.
Keep using that word, scary.
Yeah. I said to some, and I was pretty public about what I'm getting ready to say, to our last mayor. I asked the question, what happens in your neighborhood that has been impacted and changed since the 3-term last mayor was mayor? I'll wait. And I heard a lot of crickets. And I said, so shouldn't we in part evaluate the work of the mayor? Y'all can talk, we can say a lot of stuff about the mayor prior to the last one. But some things happen in the neighborhoods. We got some beautiful signage in the neighborhoods. We got some cleanup and beautification projects in the neighborhood. There were some small businesses that got a leg up in the neighborhood. This one, I can't tell you one thing that has happened in no neighborhood that's been of a good thing. What I can say now, in 2 separate neighborhoods in the last several weeks, we've had shootings of people who should have been served, should have been helped. Now we have families that have to plan funerals, and we have the pain, the loss, and the grieving. Kamar, you're absolutely right. There's some of us, we struggling right along it through here because we're tired of it. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of living in the city. There's 120, 125,000 people in this city. This ain't rocket science. This is not that hard, but there is no will. And where there is no will, no vision, the books say people perish.
Amen.
And there's something that's just wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. And if you can't hear it, I'm with you, Pastor Stan. You got to go. If you can't hear that and come contrite with your folk, we all run stuff. And when you get it wrong, you have to come and say, listen, I jacked that up, right? And say something. And so that's where my heart is, and that's where my heart is. This is not right. Period.
Yeah. When the most vulnerable in the community aren't safe, then none of us are safe.
That's right.
Exactly right.
That's
It's
right.
a statement when 2 people who are in need of the most arms wrapped around
Mhm.
are shot to death for being vulnerable and weak. Then what does it say? And when the outside community says, well, they should have listened to the police. Well, he had a knife. When all of the justification comes for the neutralizing the threat by use of deadly force, and the outside community sees it as just, then how do they see Hartford?
Yeah.
And when Hartford's leaders, with all due respect, have to take a poll to figure out whether or not we should speak out, then it says they're contained. As long as we keep them there, we don't have to worry. So
Wow.
something's working, right? Because we've been domesticated.
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right.
Working on it.
I know
Let me
that's
try to-
I know that's the truth, and I don't know any of the answers. I really don't. We're justified, not just justified. We have a right to tell people when they're wrong.
Mhm.
People who's supposed to be
Mhm.
doing the right thing.
Mm.
We have a right to tell them when they're wrong. When you do domesticate people, and what happens is they have no agency. They don't think they have it. They do have agency, but they just don't know that they have agency.
Right.
How do you tell people who believe they have no agency that they do? By the leaders who's willing to do that, by the people who care enough to do it. Because it has, for me, at this point, it has to start from there. It has to start from really connecting with each one of us, all of us, taking care of the other.
Mhm.
We all have to take care of each other. We can't look to the leaders to do the whole job. No, they're not doing it no way. They're not doing it. And after this, we're crying out, hopefully we can get some justice in this. Hopefully we can. but the track record don't look good. And yet we do have the most vulnerable walking the streets every day. So what are we going to do as individuals with agency to help other people see their agency to do something?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
How do we do that? That's a conversation I want to have. How do we tap
There's a
on
lot of things.
somebody and say, you got power? And it's like, yeah, we do. Maybe we do. Well, we John and I were asked to speak at the library. We talked to young people, and and the message was, you have power. Stand up and say it. I have power.
Mm-hmm.
I have agency. I can do something. I have a voice. I can speak out. I mean, we have to start right there. And if it's door to door, it's door to door, street by street.
But I think we also need to
telling people what they can do, instead of throwing Molotov cocktails about what they can't do and that they ain't do. We have to shift that with the leadership that we have within ourselves. Like I said, we all have a part of us that leads. We lead our life. We get up in the morning. We wash our face. We brush our teeth. We lead ourselves to the breakfast table and we eat. We lead ourselves out the door. We lead our lives. We have that. So, and we have to, I don't know what it's going to take to encourage people to first of all, we do have to let them know that they have it and then encourage them to use it. It has to come from there. We can't keep looking up there and hoping that, we can, but I don't know if that's going to really work. I don't know if that's going to really work. And I'm being honest. I don't see that working. And from the top down, look what's happening. Look what's happening in this country. From the top.
When we're honest.
From the top down,
honest,
it's only not working. It's breaking down and it's going away. It is, and if we are, again, it's not to say don't do it. If the guy is in the role, he needs to do it. And we need to tell him to do it. We need to tell him to stop. That guy don't need to come back in nobody's street and do nothing, because I do believe he must have some kind of mental health issue. And if you're telling me you ain't got the money to help the guy, you definitely don't need to employ him. That's a decision that you make as boss, to help your people. But in the meantime, so let's do that and this. Let's call them into account and call ourselves into account as well. That has to happen if we want anything to change. Nothing will change unless that is the case.
We have to address capitalism, and we have to.
That's the underbelly. Capitalism is the underbelly.
It's a trip.
And I'm thinking very serious.
And so
I'm thinking about our people.
Think about tapping on somebody without expecting funding to come. Just tap on your neighbor and ask them if they need help or whatever it is, because you love them and you care about them, not because you're going to get $50,000 to do it. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Hartford. Those of us who care, who don't have a strong moral fortitude, get bought off. Each of us right now could name 5 people who started off loving their community, who got a grant, another grant, and now we don't recognize them anymore.
I definitely hear what you're saying, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people.
But our children are growing up with them, and they're the ones who are so as we do
that's why
this
we
work,
have to talk to our children. How do we talk to our children, Kimora?
That's hard because the people who run the after school
classrooms and talk to them? Do we have relationships with people who are in the school and talk to them? Do we call little small groups together and talk to them? We could do that. There are ways that we can change what it is.
And I think we all do that in a bunch of different ways. Like my Monday, like right now I've got a Monday morning mindfulness thing that's happening at Weaver, which is wonderful. And I messed up yesterday because as I was walking in, if you walking into Weaver in the morning is walking into jail, and I made the mistake of saying prison to, school to prison pipeline is alive and well here. So, I Kimora in the moment, but it's there. But there, it's mindfulness. And what we're doing there is we're starting each with a quote, but not doing like a thing that Hartford loves to do. Hartford loves to to give people a shimmer with nothing underneath it, right? So we're doing quotes and like digging deep into the people who are doing the quotes and that stuff. When folks come over to the KCC, we talk about how the programs are not wonderful, how the after school programs that we have, because the truth is, like, being honest, we have lots of after school programs for our kids that are inadequate, that in no way create that wonderful sense of self that we want. They're counterintuitive, they're counterproductive, because the people who are running them, just like we understand that our police are not well trained, many of the people who work with our children, we love. These are people who we know, and they are not adequately trained and educated to work with our kids. So therefore, our kids continue to see mediocre adults in lying to each other about how great they are. There's a weird thing that happens in Hartford. We are mediocre, see mediocre, and lie to each other about how great it is, and put our children in programs so that they can, this is greatness, and we create programs where our kids can get here.
Okay.
And that's
Wait a minute.
true. And those are
Wait a
things we need
minute.
to talk about.
Wait a minute. I just want to
And
say this, because
we can talk to our kids.
I would appreciate it if it is not everybody. It's not everybody. I live in Hartford. I'm not mediocre. I don't teach my children, or didn't teach my children stupidity. And there's many more like me, like you. So I want to turn attention to them and not just totally. We do have to speak truth. We have to speak truth, but we have to highlight the things that we got going good here in the city of Hartford. We have to do that too. And Hartford has to connect with those outside of Hartford as well. We have to expand and do more than just be in a little space with ourselves. And I know that's the culture of New England in general. It is the culture to be isolated and individuals, but we'll never really shift and be who we want to be if we don't connect with those outside of ourselves, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm talking about. I do hear all the time, Hartford, and it is Hartford, but Hartford is right next to West Hartford, and it is right next to all of the other ones. And we've worked all over there, and each time a crime happens, if a crime happens in Weathersfield, the people, I don't know if the people in Hartford know about it, but it seems like they just don't care because it didn't happen in Hartford, and vice versa. And we do have to care about what happens to our neighbors. We have to care about them just like we have to care about ourselves. And we do have to care about ourselves. We do have to know that we are better than what we see. We do have to speak life into our children, into our community, and into everybody. That is part of the work that we need to do as leaders as well.
And we need to push ourselves and others, like, to take this out of us quickly, right? So with the queer community, with the gay community, right? We're moving up towards June. I'm very happy that PFLAG is working with me, because I spend all of June and May when gay people show up, it's like, we're proud. What are you proud of? Stop it, because that's hollow. What are you proud of? So right now I've got PFLAG. They're helping me with our food giveaway. Every month they're collecting food. At the first weekend of the month, their people come here, they pick up boxes of food, they take it to people. Outside of that, they have determined, again, we work really hard. What are my responsibilities to myself? What are my responsibilities to my people? So that when June comes around this year, because there's something very hollow, please understand, in the queer community, if the only thing, like, where does that self-esteem stuff come from? If the only thing celebrated about you is fake stuff, like, I'm proud. If we all know that you've done nothing to be proud, but you should be proud, that person is even more hollow than a person who's not saying that they're proud, right? And so in our community there, I really think that we need to determine and figure out what our highest self is, and then push each other to get there. A lot of these after school programs, and I've worked with many of these programs, and I love these people. And I've created programs like this. This is my world. And if we're not looking at each other and looking at the curriculums and saying, this could be better, And if we're not saying, I know this is what we've always done, but, and we've been doing it for 20 years because it's great, but now that we've got this new research on how the brain works, let's add some other stuff. If we're not doing that, and if it's so important to us to not rock the boat, right? Like, please hear me when I say mediocre, not in a horrible way. Like, when it comes to my work, I very often say your first idea is dumb. Take that dumb idea and then work it through with some other people, and then the great thing will happen.
Okay, Kamar, I got you. You have a particular style in which you work in, and do you?
And I live in a city where we don't push ourselves or each other as much as we do, and that's an issue. So we can go in all kinds of different ways, but we don't hold ourselves to
some don't.
Yeah.
Some don't. I have to stick there. I have to stick there because
Not all, but
No.
mediocrity in Hartford is a high achievement on many levels.
that is of this place that we live in. Again, that's a part of
That's
the
not to
culture.
say that all in Hartford
That's a part
are
of the
there.
culture, but you don't have to be mediocre just because
Right,
that
right.
is the culture.
No, but you just said it is part of the culture.
It's the
And if
culture.
You just
push
said it.
that,
It is a part of the
if
culture.
that's
It's not
something that you
everyone.
push, if there's something that you push, and you can highlight it. For me, highlighting things, speaking truth to power, speaking truth to anybody, is not just for the sake of making them feel bad.
Right.
It is for
No,
the
no.
sake of, let's change this thing. Let's change, because you're hurting people.
Right.
So let's stop hurting people. And then you have a solution. If you're going to come up in somebody's face and tell them the truth about what they're doing that is wrong, then you also need to be carrying what you see as right and offer that as well.
So
Because we do have to take
I
care
got
of
a
each
bunch of
other in
people who
that
take
way.
guns from people.
Because-
I got a bunch of people who take knives from
And I'm
people.
talking
I got a
about, I
wonderful
want to
story
start
about someone
from
who just
the,
took some guns,
and I
some
just want to
drugs
talk
from
about
people.
that in terms of our children, the people who are in community, who are already being beat down on. You know what I mean? It's very important that we're speaking life into them.
Evie, you wanted to say something. I know you
Oh
wanted to
yeah,
get in.
what I was gonna say was so you mentioned before about talking to your kids. I'm not sure how effective that is, because I mean morals leave you broke. So I can talk to my kids about having
Morals leave you
morals
broke.
and about, having the moral high grounds. What they're going to remember is that mom couldn't afford Christmas presents 2020. So they remember that. They're going to remember that mom had to sit there and push back Christmas into January in 2020. Well, technically 22, but Christmas of 21 turned into 22 because mom didn't have money because of morals. So I could have gotten money, I could have taken buyouts, and I didn't. So you can talk to your kids about having morals, but they're going to have very core memories of why mom couldn't be mediocre and how they felt when mom wasn't mediocre. So that's all I'm saying.
And
That
you
is
know
very
what?
much the culture that's the culture. What Evelise just spoke to is about what I was alluding to, right? But that's the culture that we live in. You don't get the jobs. If you are mediocre and you co-sign on mediocrity, you are going to get the job. You're going to keep the job. That is a part of Hartford culture. It's not nice. It doesn't sound good. It sucks. But that is our culture.
Do you think it could change? I mean, if you
Yes.
don't, you don't.
Yes. If
How?
we are
How?
honest
How
about
will
it,
it change?
if we look at people, if we're honest about it, if we're honest with each other with
Yeah.
love, and
Yeah,
I think many people watching this, I have sat and pushed so many people with love, and I've looked people in the face and said things with love, and change happens over. And very clearly over the last 5 years, yes, you can look at a person with love and confront them. I call it confrontational love. I got a word for it. But with confrontational love, we can all sit and think about what our responsibilities, what resources we have, and what our personal responsibilities to ourselves, to each other, to the larger community, and society at large. Doing that in fierce and confrontational love does push people and does create places where, like, as I said, like the funny haha, your first idea, take it through some stuff, work with some people, work with people who will push back and say, yeah, but, no, but. And then create that thing. Be willing to put yourself in a place where you're like, I am brilliant. And in this room, there's so much brilliance that you can take my brilliance and then it can really be brilliant and it can feed us all. Hartford doesn't take constructive criticism well.
I hear that.
And
But
and
it's a
that's what we
constructive
end up with the
criticism.
same bad programs.
It's a
We end up with the
constructive-
same bad program year after year after year. Everyone sees what's wrong with it. We know better than to say something because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings because the culture tells us we don't do that.
I hear what you're talking about, Kamar, and you naming it in some particulars, and
It hurts us.
Yeah. One, we are way past that hour. I promise y'all. So first off, I want to thank y'all because we done shot past that. Two, it is to say that can we do some more of this kind of talking, because we getting at it right now. We starting to name some truths and push on those boundaries that have held us hostage, the boxes that have really held us hostage, and I'm loving it. And yet I know we way past the time I told y'all we was gonna be on the thing. So I want to be done told the truth, at least halfway, partially try to tell the truth. And y'all, then you all gonna say every time we come on Bishop Sheldon's show, you know, we end up talking a long time. So can I say, is this part 2 and maybe a part 3 and 4?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
go get this. While we also call for I almost said something there I won't. But when we're not on the air, I may say some other things to you all. Anyway, I listen, appreciate this opportunity to have some real conversation relevant to what it is that we are experiencing right here in Hartford. For those of you who are listening, and for those of you who won't listen, this is family talk, and I'm loving it. This family talk, we talking, this is how we do. We got to go to it because there's lots of love, there's lots of passion, there's lots of goodwill. And can I just say this, and to our horns, here's some of the people that actually do stuff.
That's right. That's
We
right.
actually do things. That's the, we do some things right around here. And we drive down different avenues, different lanes, and then when we see each other, we holler at each other, hey, I always know it's Kamar because she said, how you good people? It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be, it's some of that kind of stuff. I see Evie and I say, oh Lord, let me go over there and where the baby is.
Save me again.
Yeah.
Right. It's this is what it is that we do. And I love each of you fiercely and will support to the end. And I might yell at you because you're doing it wrong. Anyway, no, I'm just playing. But you might yell.
I mean, you saved me one day when they was punching me in the head over in Glastonbury, so thank you.
I did. And it was fussing because you was over there in the middle of them in the first place. I'm like, girl, why you over here? These are crazy people. Anyway, and it was Pamela that pointed you out. Evie over there getting pummeled over there. Go get her. And Pamela went
And I knew I couldn't hit back or I'd get arrested. It sucked.
So here we are, family.
You have to get arrested with a plan, dear.
That's what I'm talking about.
When
You got
do
these
it that
babies.
way, it's fun.
You got these babies out here. So anyway, we have had multiple times of doing the work together. We are doing our own things the way we do them, and it is quite refreshing and quite. Pamela used this term earlier about something else. It's quite refreshing actually to be in a conversation with the folk who are doing something, who you can say, listen, let's get at it. Let's do some more of this while we also talk about the people that, and say the real stuff that needs to be said because we're unbought and because we are free.
Amen. Unchained.
Unchained, unbought, however you want to, I'm not bought. I have run organizations that got the funding and I was getting arrested at the same time. Because they were doing something wrong, right? And it costs you. It costs you, So
I say everything comes at a cost. You know, it doesn't matter the street that you go down. You can go down any of the streets, and you are going to experience something good and something bad in any of them at any time because that is life.
Yep.
So you might as well be picking the street that you're passionate about going down. You know, that you feel called to do something on that street.
That's
You
the
know.
truth. You might as well go. You're gonna catch it.
Because you're not going to get it. See, that's the trick. People who think that I'm getting this money and I won't have to feel nothing. I won't go through nothing. But they're living that lie. They're living it.
Can I just say quickly about the people who talk about this burnout, this activist burnout? You're in the wrong lane. This is my
Amen.
life. Like I was talking to someone the other day, like, you don't stop thinking. I was like, I can't. Like, I don't think you understand. I love my people. This is it. You know, it's really nice. You get those 2-year activists, and I'm gonna fix education. Okay, I'll see you for 18 months. Oh, you didn't fix education? Oh, they didn't listen to you? You're right. They don't appreciate you. Go somewhere else. Oh, you're the new one, right? Like, I love us because, like, this is thankless. The people who you help are going to tell you you're everything but a child of God. It's tiring. Thank God for passion, because when I jump up and say I've been fighting the city of Harvard, these police for my entire life, like the first time I think the first time I spoke in front of city council was 1978 because I needed to save the whales, right? So whatever, but it was the 70s. We were gonna save the whales, right? Look, if it is, it is. So the burnout ones, please just read the articles and send us checks, because if this, like, Stan, how long, like Stan for my entire life, Stan has been out here saying things and providing the voice, right? Like, this is, we just can't not. The other ones get burnt out because they don't belong over here. This is our life.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
No,
We
but
do.
and you have to have the metabolism for
Yeah,
it.
you do.
If you have that metabolism that don't burn out, God bless you.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
And it's sometimes
Oh, I'm
people only
exhausted.
need
I'm
to do it.
tired.
And sometimes people only need to do that thing for a season,
Right.
and then it's time for them to do
Move on.
something
Sure.
else.
Sure.
Everybody got to do what they got to do.
You know, sometimes
Somebody said
the road runs out. You ran out of road, so
you're gonna run out of road. You sure did. Listen, y'all keep talking. We ain't gonna go. We got to go.
all right.
But I love God.
But love
So
people.
let's go get on some other Zooms. There might be
That's
another
it,
Zoom
yes.
somewhere.
Yeah, I might see you in the next one.
Could someone please send that to my if you can send me the Zoom link to any of my emails, that'd be great, because I can't get it from my phone. But thank you.
All right. All righty. Love y'all. And we're gonna do this again soon. Talk to your family.
Ciao,
We'll talk
ciao.
to you again. All righty. Peace.
Peace.
Oh, I'm off now. Oh wait, do I get out?